Discover the heartwarming journey, how a hidden bracelet changed a billionaire's life forever. Tim had always been a hard-working guy. With grease-stained hands and a heart full of dreams, he toiled away in his tiny garage, where the sweet smell of motor oil mingled with the crisp air of the Midwest. Every morning, he awoke early to make breakfast for his ailing mother, a proud veteran who had raised him with grit and grit. Hard work and integrity, Tim, she'd say, eyes shining with pride, that's what will get you far. Yet while mechanics made her smile, Tim's dreams felt as distant as the stars. As the sun dipped one warm afternoon, he rolled under the chassis of a gleaming classic car at a local socialite's extravagant estate. With every twist of the wrench, he imagined how it'd feel to own a workshop bustling with excitement and creativity, a space where the hum of engines felt like music. While reaching deep beneath the dashboard, his fingers brushed against something cold and metal. Pulling it out, he found a tarnished bracelet, its elegant design dulled by dust and time. The bracelet looked familiar, whispering tales of the past. Tim held it, thinking of treasures lost like lost opportunities, similar to those his mother had sacrificed for a better future. Little did he know, this modest piece of jewelry bared the heavy weight of dreams long abandoned by Jack Sullivan, the town's billionaire mogul. Tim's heart raced with purpose. He felt a strong urge to return it, bridging the chasm between his working-class life and the world of wealth. But whispers floated around town, planting doubts like seeds in his mind. Friends chuckled, what's a mechanic gonna do with a millionaire? But the loyalty to his mother kept him moving forward. Days turned into nights filled with endless searches and relentless determination. His gut twisted as he faced the condescending glances and murmurs of his neighbors. Still, he soldiered on. He found Jack, a titan of industry buried in his high-rise life, looking more trapped than triumphant. When their eyes met, all the whispers faded. Jack's expression shifted from confusion to a vulnerability that struck Tim deep. The bracelet stirred feelings long buried in Jack's heart. But the elite crowd snapped to judgment, turning their backs as envy festered. Suddenly, Tim was caught in a scandal. Public scrutiny mounted. Tim's chest tightened, vulnerability clawing at his insides. Did he dare step into a world that looked down on his kind? Or would he leverage this connection to unveil a better future? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Pressure swirled around Tim and Jack, each man fighting his own battles. Jack recalled the values that built him, yet the fierce demands of his empire pulled him in unexpected directions. Tim missed the comfort of family, the warmth of his mother's teachings. With the bracelet tucked in his palm, Tim stood at a crossroads. Would he chase ambition, throwing away his values in favor of a glitzy world? Or would he embrace the community, the shared understanding of struggle and sacrifice? With the weight of dreams in his hands, he asked himself, could he and Jack find a way to rewrite their stories together? Or would their paths remain forever marked by the divide of their worlds? Tim stood in the shadow of the towering high-rise, heart beating fast. The city's pulse thrummed around him, but all he could feel was a rising tide of uncertainty. The bracelet had become a symbol, a potential beacon of hope, or a chain binding him to scorn. He took a deep breath, wondering if he could summon the courage to walk deeper into the world he found so daunting. Tim! Yo, Tim! A shout from behind pulled him from his thoughts. It was Brianna, the scrappy girl from his neighborhood, always ready with a laugh and a little mischief. Her friendly grin cut through the thick tension like a sunny day after a storm. "What's up?" he asked, managing a smile. Brianna leaned against a lamppost, arms crossed. "Heard about you sticking it to the man with that fancy billionaire. Can't believe you went for it. Are you nuts?" "Maybe," he nodded slowly, "but I can't just ignore this. The words spilled out, fueled by an urgency he felt growing inside him. The bracelet. It's important. For both of us. Brianna's playful demeanor faded as she studied him. You know you're up against a whole different world, right? They don't take kindly to people like us, Tim. I know. The truth hit hard. The laughter from his friends still echoed, a reminder of the risk. But a connection had formed between him and Jack, and for the first time in a while, Tim felt he had purpose beyond grease and engines. What's the plan then? Brianna asked, her curiosity piqued. I don't fully know yet. But I think I need to tell him how I found it a piece of his life that's been missing. Tim's voice cracked, dredging up memories of his own struggles. Maybe it could help him remember who he really is. Brianna shrugged. Okay, but don't get hurt in the process. It's easy for them to throw stones from their glass towers. Tim felt the weight of her words. He'd already faced judgment and ridicule. The thought of walking into that world again sent a shiver down his spine, but the chance for change glimmered in his mind. Determination surged within him. I want to help him see there's more than just wealth and empire. There's life, there's heart. The gleam in Brianna's eyes returned. Then go for it. Be that bridge, Tim. But watch your back. With her encouragement echoing in his ears, he took a step towards the building. The entry doors gleamed, polished to perfection. He paused, reflecting on the fear bubbling beneath his determination. There was a lesson to be found in Jack's vulnerabilities, much like his own. As Tim pushed through the doors, he was met with a whirlwind of chatter, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. He stood at the precipice of a new beginning and felt a rush. Would it lead to joy or deeper heartache? He spotted Jack across the room, engaged in conversation with a group of critics and admirers, his face painted with a mask of confidence. Tim's heart raced. It felt like stepping onto a battlefield. Hey, Jack. Can we talk? The words reverberated through the air, causing heads to turn. Jack's gaze flicked toward him, and time seemed to pause, but as Jack's expression shifted, so did the atmosphere around them. A hush fell over the crowd, and whispers began to circulate when they recognized Tim. Was he ready for what would come next? Would this be a moment of truth or a retreat into shadows? The uncertain weight of what lay ahead tightened in Tim's chest as he braced himself. This was not just about the bracelet anymore, this was about forging a new path that could alter the course of their lives forever. Would it be possible to break the chains of their worlds and uncover a deeper connection? Tim's heart thudded in his chest as he locked eyes with Jack. The crowd was a living entity, and he felt its pulse thrumming through him. Their whispers blended into a haze, an echo of judgment that heightened his awareness of every breath he took. Jack took a step away from his entourage, his lips pressed into a thin line, an expression that displayed both recognition and hesitance. What are you doing here, Tim? The tension hung heavy. Tim fought the urge to shrink back. I need to talk to you. His voice wavered but managed to hold firm. What about? Jack's tone was cool, but there was something deeper beneath it. A flicker of curiosity. Regret? Tim gathered himself, pushing through the doubt. About the bracelet. I found it. You need to know how it came to me. The crowd's tension morphed into tight uncertainty. Some were intrigued while others looked as though they were ready to pounce. It was a peculiar mix of spectacle and discomfort. Jack's brows furrowed slightly. You're sure about that? In front of everyone? There was a challenge in his gaze, and Tim knew this was more than a mere conversation. It was about identity, Jack's and his own. Yeah, I am. The words rushed out like a wave, fueled by desperation and hope. I didn't just find it. I found you again, too. You're more than just this image they've painted for you. You can remember what it feels like to be you. Soft gasps trickled through the crowd. Some people exchanged surprised looks, while others leaned closer, caught in the moment. The clinks and clatter of the party seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them in a bubble suspended in time. Jack's expression shifted as he processed Tim's words. There was a flicker of something vulnerable, but just as quickly, it was masked again by a practiced confidence. And how would you know that? Tim let out a shaky breath. Because I've been there. I know what it feels like to have things taken from you, to feel lost in a world that doesn't really see you. The bracelet, it holds memories, a piece of your past. I found it while I was working in your company, and it reminded me of who you are beneath all of this. He gestured broadly, encompassing the opulent surroundings that felt suffocating now. Jack, this isn't who you were meant to be. The room buzzed with energy, the curiosity brewing more intense. Jack remained silent, his thoughts an opaque veil. Tim saw the internal battle rage on Jack's face, the tug between his carefully cultivated persona and the person he once was, the man who might find solace in the truth. Come on, Tim pressed, stepping closer as the barriers between them began to crumble. Let me help you remember. You don't have to do this alone. Jack hesitated, the weight of the crowd's anticipation palpable in the air. And what makes you think I want your help? Because I believe in you. Tim couldn't keep the urgency out of his voice. His fingers instinctively tightened around the bracelet in his pocket, the cold metal a reminder that change was possible. Do you? Jack's brow knit closer, and for a moment, vulnerability flickered openly in his eyes. Then why are you here? Why not just walk away and live your life? I could, but I won't. Not when I see someone trapped where they don't belong, Tim replied, the fire igniting in him anew. Because there's so much more to both of us, Jack. We can break through this illusion. Tim's heart raced. Would Jack see the truth? Would he turn toward him or away again? The air between them held the weight of their shared pasts, their disconnects and the potential for bridges to be built. Just then, unforeseen noise erupted from the far end of the room. A glass shattered, cutting through the charged silence. All eyes darted toward the sound, adding a layer of chaos to the moment. Tim's heart dropped as he turned back to Jack. Would he seize the chance for a new beginning, or would this moment slip away like so many others? Jack's expression softened briefly, before steeling once more. Meet me outside, he said, his voice barely above a whisper amidst the chaos. And we'll talk. As he stepped back into the crowd, Tim felt a flicker of hope for their connection that he couldn't quite put into words. He was ready for this, ready to bridge the gap. But would it be enough before the world around them closed in again? What waited for them outside in the night? Would the shadows hinder their progress or illuminate the path ahead? Tim couldn't shake the feeling of urgency as he pushed through the crowd. The festive decor that once felt vibrant now suffocated him. He had to get outside. He had to find Jack before the doors closed on this fleeting moment. The noise of the party faded, replaced by the sound of the night, a crisp breeze rustling through leaves, the distant hum of the city's heartbeat, and his own racing pulse. He burst through the exit, stepping into the cool air. It was refreshing, but it didn't quell the fire inside him. He glanced around, searching for Jack. The light from the venue spilled onto the concrete, casting long shadows. Tim's heart ached with hope and anxiety. Had he already lost his chance? Then he saw him, a silhouette against the moonlight. Jack leaned against the wall, arms crossed, clearly grappling with something deeper than the glitz of the party inside. Tim took a breath, ready to step forward, but something held him back. Jack, he called softly, his words heavy with sincerity. Jack turned, looking more human than he had inside the bubble of that party. You found it, he said, his voice a whisper as he flicked his gaze toward the bracelet that Tim still clutched in his pocket. Yeah, and I need you to understand its meaning, Tim said, moving closer. It's a part of you that the world has forgotten. You don't need to let them decide who you are. Jack seemed to hesitate, a struggle visible in his eyes. What if I don't want to remember? He said slowly, almost defeated. What if this life is easier? Tim could see it clearly now, the choice between comfort and truth. That rift between wanting to belong and the need for authenticity loomed larger than life itself. But is it really easier? Tim pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. Isn't it exhausting wearing a mask? To always perform? Silence thickened between them, punctuated only by the distant sound of laughter filtering from the party. Tim could sense that it was a delicate matter, each word born from a place of raw emotion. He didn't want to scare Jack off, yet he felt pushed to the edge of vulnerability himself. "No one sees me," Jack replied finally, the facade beginning to crack. "Not really. Not the real me." He paused, a tremor in his voice. "Maybe I've lost him." "No, you haven't." The conviction in Tim's voice surprised even him. "You're still here, Jack. You're still part of the world. Just like this bracelet, it carries your history." He reached into his pocket slowly, revealing the bracelet, the cool metal catching the moonlight. "It's a bridge to who you were and who you can still be." Jack's eyes narrowed, studying the bracelet, then meeting Tim's gaze. "And what if I can't face it? What if what's in there is too painful?" The weight of his question hung heavy. Tim felt the gravity of Jack's fears, the weight of lost memories, of lost selves. "Then we face it together. You're not alone in this. I'll be here." For a moment, Jack looked as if he might break, like the walls surrounding him might finally crumble. But then, just as quickly, his expression hardened again, cloaked in doubt. "How do I know it won't destroy me all over again?" Tim stepped closer, lowering his voice to a comforting tone. "Because you have the strength to rebuild. Because you have me." The tension of uncertainty was palpable. Tim could see Jack teetering on the edge, ready to choose whether to step forward into uncertainty or retreat into the shadows he had known for so long. Jack's voice faltered, almost breaking before he swallowed hard, preparing for a leap of faith. "What if?" Before he could finish, a siren wailed in the distance, the sound slicing through the moment. Tim felt his heart stall, knowing that this conversation could either propel them into the light or drown them in darkness. "Jack," he said urgently, "please just decide for us, for you." But would Jack choose to embrace the truth? Or would fear pull him away into the familiarity of his past? The night was silent, waiting for his answer. The night deepened around them, the air heavy with the weight of unspoken words and looming choices. Jack's gaze shifted between the bracelet and Tim's hopeful face, as if one glance might tip the scales in favor of either despair or resolve. A tremor ran through his body, and for a brief moment, his vulnerability was laid bare. Jack's throat tightened. The siren's wail, now harmonizing with the sound of his own heartbeat, receded into the background. "I don't know if I can face what's inside that bracelet. So much time has passed. I feel like I'm holding on to pieces of someone I don't even know anymore." "I get it," Tim replied, stepping closer, sensing the growing distance in Jack's expression. "But those pieces are still part of you. They might hurt, but they also make you who you are. And who you can become." Jack looked up, confusion swirling in his eyes. "What if I'm not ready to see the person I used to be? What if he's lost forever?" His voice trembled, betraying the facade he had carefully crafted. Tim's heart ached at the anguish in Jack's voice. "You're not lost, Jack. You're still here. And this isn't just about digging up the past, it's about claiming what's rightfully yours. Letting the world see you in all your dimensions, not just the safe, polished version they expect." Jack's arms dropped to his sides, the stiffness locking away his vulnerability beginning to fade. "You really believe that?" "Yes," Tim said, his voice steady. "I've seen you. The you that laughs. The you that cares. The you that loves." He squeezed the bracelet in his hand, stepping closer so that Jack could see the determination etched on his face. "This isn't just for you. It's for everyone who loves you, who wants the real you back." A shiver of uncertainty crossed through Jack, but there was a spark of something else igniting in his eyes. What if it breaks me? Then we'll gather the pieces, Tim promised, and we'll rebuild. Together. The tension hung thick in the air, electric with possibilities. Jack inhaled deeply, his mind racing as he weighed the fear of confronting his past against the flickering hope of liberation. Tim stayed silent, allowing the moment to stretch, to fill with unspoken truths. Okay, Jack said finally, his voice steadying with uncanny resolve. Let us do it. Tim couldn't help the flood of relief that washed over him, nor the smile that broke across his face. You won't regret this, I promise. Jack reached for the bracelet, fingers brushing against Tim's. I didn't know you had such faith in me. I have faith in what we can become, Tim assured him, their eyes locking in a moment of shared understanding. As Jack accepted the bracelet, a faint flicker of light caught their attention, dancing in the distance. It was a firework, bursting into brilliant colors, symbolizing everything they were both about to face together. Let us go inside and celebrate this step, Tim suggested, his heart racing with anticipation, wanting to bask in the warmth of the party shared by friends who had come to know and love Jack. But the moment shifted as a sudden flash flooded the sky, cutting through the night like a lightning bolt. They turned, eyes wide at the commotion that erupted just beyond the party, gasping at the unexpected scene unfolding before them. What in the world? Jack murmured. As they moved closer, their hearts hammering with a mixture of excitement and dread, they realized they were about to witness something that would change everything. Yet again a twist in their journey neither of them anticipated, what awaited them in the darkness. Would it challenge their newfound resolve or fortify their bond? The chaos grew as they approached the commotion, tight knots of people gathering under the flickering streetlights. Jack's stomach churned, a mix of nervous energy and curiosity pulling him forward. Tim's hand found his, gripping tightly. Stay close, Tim murmured, his voice barely audible over the rising din. Yeah, I will, Jack replied, though his throat went dry. The crowd parted like waves, revealing a broken-down car in the middle of the street. A pair of young adults stood near it, faces anxious and uncertain. The driver's side door swung open violently, and a voice heated with panic rang out. Someone help. I think he's hurt. Jack's heart raced. He instinctively pushed past the gathering crowd, driven by a force beyond his control, the instinct to help, to be needed. The world around him melted away, the glow of the fireworks fading into an afterthought. Tim followed close, the warmth of his presence grounding Jack amidst the chaos. When they reached the car, Jack looked inside. A man in his 20s slumped in the driver's seat, his skin pale and covered in sweat. Jack's pulse quickened as he saw the gash on the man's forehead, blood dripping sluggishly down the side of his face. Oh God, he breathed, stepping back. Quickly, Jack recalled the first aid lessons he had nearly forgotten. Tim, grab my phone. Call for an ambulance. He turned to the others. Someone check on him. Is he breathing? Time seemed to elongate as he crouched beside the car, seeing the fear reflecting in Tim's eyes. He's unconscious, but he's still alive, Tim said, his voice steady despite the chaos. Let us make sure he stays that way. I'll check his pulse. Okay. Jack nodded, gathering himself. He glanced at the faces around them, strangers who quickly became allies in this moment of urgency. We need to make sure he's in a good position. Tim, can you keep talking to him? Let him know we're here. As Tim leaned closer, speaking reassuringly, Jack took a deep breath to steady himself. The energy in the air shifted, transforming fear into an unspoken camaraderie. They were all part of something bigger now, and Jack felt a flicker of purpose surge within him. In that moment, the past he had feared resurfacing felt like an anchor of strength rather than a burden. The anguish he'd battled pressed on his heart, but here, he found clarity. Helping this man, being present for Tim, it all mattered. A distant wail of sirens echoed closer, the flashing lights of an ambulance flickering through the crowd. Relief flooded Jack, but it was short-lived as he locked eyes with the victim. Stay with us, okay? He murmured softly, squeezing the man's shoulder gently. Then, as if sensing Jack's presence, the man's eyelids fluttered open. Confusion mingled with fear in his gaze, and Jack felt a rush of connection, a reminder of the fragility of life. "You're not alone," Jack urged, a quiet determination rising within him. "Help is here." The sirens merged with the crackle of fireworks overhead, the night electric with emotion. It was a moment carved from chaos, but Jack found strength in vulnerability. His past and present melded together in the act of compassion. As paramedics rushed to their side, Jack couldn't shake the sensation that this unexpected call to action had shifted something profound within him. It was more than just a man needing help, it was a catalyst for his own healing. "Okay, you did great," Tim said, pride evident in his voice as they stepped back, letting the professionals take over. "You really stepped up, Jack." Jack could only smile, feeling lighter inside, as though a weight had lifted. "I didn't even know I had that in me." Yet just as the tension began to fade, a shadow loomed over Jack's shoulders. The crowd gasped, and a screaming voice split the air. "No. You can't take him. He's mine." The chaos erupted again as a woman pushed her way forward, eyes wild and desperate. "Who is she?" Jack wondered aloud, his heart sinking as the scene flipped once more into something darker, something that could test them both beyond what they had just faced. What would happen next? Would they all survive the night, or would the shadows of the past emerge to haunt them yet again? The woman stumbled forward, her frantic eyes scanning the crowd before landing on the man in the car. Fear washed over Jack as she reached for him, desperation etched into every feature. "Please. Let me through," she cried, her voice cracking. Jack instinctively stepped in front of her, instinct taking over. "Wait. You can't get near him," he said firmly, trying to block the madness swirling around them. Tim moved to his side, their shoulders brushing in silent solidarity. "You don't understand," she screamed. "He's my brother. My little brother. You can't take him away." Jack's mind raced. How could they help the man now with the chaos erupting around them? "Tim, get closer to the paramedics," Jack urged, feeling the weight of the situation pressing heavily on his chest. He turned to the woman, desperate to bring her down from the ledge of panic. "We need to let the professionals take care of him. They'll help him." "No," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. "You don't know what he's been through. I can't lose him again." Jack's heart constricted. Her anguish was palpable, overwhelming. A bitter realization struck him. He once felt that same sense of lost hope, that fear of losing someone without being able to save them. In that moment, the man in the car stirred again, groaning softly, an awful reminder of how fragile life was. "Look," Jack said gently, forcing his voice to soften, "if he's your brother, he needs you to be calm right now. The paramedics are trained for this. Let them do their jobs. He's fighting. He'll be okay." The woman paused, her breath hitching as she focused on the distant sirens, the beating of life pushing through her chaos. A flicker of hope sparked in her eyes, but it was quickly drowned in despair. "I wasn't there for him before. I can't lose him now." Jack felt his own heart break a little. "You're here now," he whispered, reaching out to place a hand on her shoulder, grounding her in the moment. "You've got to believe that he can make it. Be the sister he needs you to be." With a shaky breath, she nodded as Tim, having whispered something to a paramedic, turned back to Jack. "They're ready to move him," he said, urgency mingling with concern. The woman, caught between surrendering and clinging to her fears, took a step back as two paramedics carefully approached the car. Her eyes darted between Jack and Tim, searching for reassurance in the two strangers. "It's okay," Jack spoke firmly, meeting her gaze. "You're not alone anymore. You've got us, and you've got the help you need. Let us do this together." As they loaded the man onto a stretcher, the woman fell silent, letting Jack's words anchor her. The crowd watched in uneasy stillness as they moved to the ambulance. Just as Jack felt the air grow lighter, a sharp crack echoed through the night. A scream pierced through the murmurs of the crowd. "Get away from him!" Jack's heart raced once again at this new voice, a wave of dread crashing over him. He turned to see a man barreling toward them, fists clenched and rage painted on his face. "What did you do to him?" The man shouted, eyes wild with fury. Jack's stomach dropped. Who was this man? What did he want? The night had shifted again, and Jack could feel a chill snaking its way down his spine. With the tension in the air thickening, Jack glanced at Tim, then at the woman, who was trembling now. They were all caught in a tempest of anger, just one heartbeat away from unleashing something ugly. How would they navigate this new danger? Jack felt the weight of their situation pressing down on his chest, but amidst the chaos, a flicker of resilience ignited within him. They had fought for hope tonight, and somehow they needed to do it again. "Stay behind me," he whispered to the woman, and as she nodded, he braced himself for what lay ahead. Would they be able to rise above this new turmoil? Would they find peace amidst the madness? The man charged forward, rage amplifying with each footfall. Jack couldn't help but feel that this was a storm he could not control. Instinctively, he shifted his weight in front of the woman, teeth clenched, ready to brace for whatever was coming. "We need to stay calm," he murmured, his voice steadier than he felt. "Calm?" the man roared. He froze mere feet away, fists clenched tight, eyes darting between Jack and the stretcher. "You think this is calm? You think you can take my brother away from me? Your brother?" Jack blinked in surprise, taking a slow, deliberate breath. "That changed things. Listen, we're trying to get him help." With each rise and fall of the paramedics' movements, those around them held their breath, anticipation crackling in the air. Tim stepped closer, a protective aura about him. "We didn't harm him," he asserted, trying to defuse the situation, his tone resolute yet compassionate. But the man wasn't hearing it. "You're just a couple of idiots standing in the way," he shouted, his voice rising. "You don't know what he has been through. You don't know us." Jack felt something cold settle into his stomach. He thought of the woman behind him, trembling, and was reminded again of her fear. "Look," he started, tone firm but bite-free, "let us talk. We understand you're desperate, your brother needs you as much as you need him. But these people can save him." The anger on the man's face wavered, just for a moment, confusion flickering like a candle caught in a draft. He looked over his shoulder, his gaze caught on the stretcher as they carefully strapped the man down. "What happened to him?" "He needs medical attention. He's been through something awful," Jack replied, his heart racing. "But if you can be here, if you can stay strong for him, he might just pull through." Another beat passed, the man's rage turning to something raw and jagged, making his features almost unrecognizable. "If he dies, if you let anything happen to him, it'll be on you." The weight of those words hung in the air. Jack's chest tightened. "I promise we'll do everything we can, but you need to trust us. You have to step back now." With a shuddering breath, the man finally seemed to falter. The chaos of nearby voices faded slightly, the weight of what Jack just said settled between them. "Why should I trust you?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper, uncertainty creeping in. "Because love is stronger than fear," the woman behind Jack finally spoke, her voice breaking the tension. "You love your brother. I love mine. Together we can get him the help he needs. You can choose to stand with us." The man's furious facade began to crack, a flicker of vulnerability peeking through. Jack could see it. His heart raced with hope, and he clenched his fists, steadying his resolve. They needed a unified front now more than ever. Slowly, the man lowered his fists, and as the paramedics prepared to lift the stretcher into the ambulance, a glimmer of understanding glinted in his eye, a fragile connection forming. They were on the brink of something, a hesitant bridge built on the shared pain of love, fear, and hope. But just as they began to breathe again, more sirens wailed in the distance, cutting through the thick atmosphere. Jack turned, his heart racing anew. What more was about to unfold? Who else would arrive, and what would it mean for them all? It felt like the night was just getting started, the darkness still hiding untold stories. "Stay close," Jack whispered as the tension ramped up again. What lay beyond this moment that might change everything once more? He could feel it brewing, swirling alongside their fracturing hope. The blaring sirens grew louder, echoing ominously through the night air. Jack's heartbeat matched their rhythm, thumping in his chest like a wild drummer pounding out an urgency that mirrored his inner turmoil. The man with the clenched fist stood frozen in place, caught between fear and realization. "More of them?" The man muttered, his voice heavy, eyes darting up the road. "Yeah, I think so," Tim replied, scanning the street, his body tense but ready. "Stay with us. We're almost there." Jack turned to the woman, who had shifted slightly behind him, her breathing quick and shallow. "It's going to be okay," he said softly, wishing he could believe it fully. He could see the doubt in her eyes but also a flicker of hope, igniting like a small flame against the night's uncertainty. "Do you think?" she began, but the sirens drowned her out, the approaching lights casting frantic shadows across the pavement. Jack squeezed her hand, not knowing if comfort or strength flowed more from the gesture. The man finally shifted, eyes refocusing on them. "What if they can't save him?" His voice tremored, a mixture of anger and desperation surfacing. "What if they try and fail?" "I know it's hard to believe," Jack replied, feeling the weight of their shared despair. "But we have to trust in these people. They're trained for this." The man clenched and unclenched his fists. The ambulance crept to a halt, its lights dancing erratically, illuminating the tension frozen in place. More paramedics spilled from the vehicle, urgency infusing their movements as they rushed towards the stretcher. Yet there was something more than decisions and medical procedures swirling in the air. Jack felt it, the fear mixed with an undercurrent of hope. He looked at the man standing in front of him, the brother desperately fighting for someone he loved. "Look," Jack said, lowering his voice, "your brother needs you more than ever right now. Are you ready to fight for him?" Something in the air shifted. A sternness flickered on the man's face, a hint of the protective brother battling against despair. "Yeah, I am," he replied, voice steadier now, but doubt lingered like a shadow. As the paramedics worked swiftly with practiced ease, Jack's eyes darted to the woman beside him. She was watching the scene unfold with bated breath. He knew that fear could tear you apart, but it could also bind you together in profound ways. "Stay strong," he urged her quietly. "With love, we can get through this." But before she could respond, the man spoke again. "I'm sorry for the way I reacted earlier. I didn't mean." Behind them, the wailing of another approaching vehicle silenced him. The street bathed in red and blue, swelling with the unexpected, a sudden roar of chaos amidst their fragile unity. "What now?" Tim asked, glancing back toward the noise. "I don't know," Jack admitted, heart pounding again, the earlier flicker of hope starting to flicker once more like a candle threatened by the wind. They all stood there, feeling the pulse of the night, fear, hope, desperation, and the flickering faith that they might just make it through this moment together. What else was about to come crashing into their world? Jack could feel the weight of that question, heavy and looming. "Stay with me," he said, another plea, almost a promise, as he faced the unknown moments ahead. The darkness was restless, and they were not alone in it. As the new sirens screamed closer, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the chaos was just beginning, unraveling everything they thought they knew about love and fear. What storm would break next, and would they emerge stronger or be forever altered? The air buzzed with anxiety as more emergency lights swirled around them, illuminating ghostly shadows against the hard asphalt. Jack's mind raced, the chaos threatening to absorb him and the fragile connection he had created with the woman. The world felt both alive and ruthless, a restless beast, eager to swallow them whole. But then, amidst the cacophony, Jack felt a shift within him. He looked to the woman standing close behind him and saw strength mirrored in her eyes. Her brother was not just a casualty caught in the storm, he was a human life worth saving. Fueled by that thought, Jack took a step forward, clearing the path for the paramedics. He wasn't stepping into chaos, he was stepping into hope. Just then, the man's fists unclenched. Fear still danced in his gaze, but with it came that spark of determination. "What do I do?" he asked, voice trembling but steady. Jack locked eyes with him. "You stand by your brother. Believe he will pull through." The resolve in Jack's voice made the air feel electric, almost tangible. "Just like I believe you'll make it through this too. Look at the people around you. They're here to help." As if on cue, the paramedics began to work efficiently, assessing the man in the stretcher with skilled hands. The tattooed brother stood back, overwhelmed, but Jack nudged him forward. "Go to him. He needs you." With a deep breath, the brother moved to his sibling's side, concern flooding his features. "I'm here. I'll be right here," he whispered, his voice breaking. Jack felt the tidal wave of emotion wash over him, the pain of loss and fear mixed with the almost sacred bond of family. It reminded him of his own mother, battling through her struggles. He had fought through life's challenges, and he understood the gravity of those moments. Tim moved closer, offering a hand to the woman behind him. "You have to trust them. They know what they're doing," he said softly, mirroring Jack's earlier words. She nodded, eyes shining with gratitude, inflating Jack's heart with conviction. "Together," she whispered, brimming with newfound strength. The sirens quieted, swallowed by the distance, leaving only the sounds of hurried footsteps and whispered reassurances. The brother squeezed the hand of the man in the stretcher, their connection stronger than the tumultuous night. Jack felt the pulse of the moment, transformation written in each breath they took, every word shared. They stood on the edges of a precipice, and together they had chosen to face the storm. "Let's step back," Jack suggested, as the paramedics expertly loaded the stretcher into the ambulance. It felt like they were resetting the narrative, pushing aside the fear that threatened to consume them once and for all. Watching the ambulance door close, the reality washed over them. In that moment, they were more than just separate individuals, they were a community forged in a time of crisis, unified by pain and hope. Jack felt a spark of something deep within, an anchor of purpose. "I can't believe the night started with a fancy party," Tim remarked, a small, crooked smile breaking through the tension. "Sometimes it's the unexpected that leads us to our greatest transformations," Jack replied, feeling lighter as he let the shared pain break down the barriers he once thought unbreakable. "Like you and me?" Tim nodded slightly, the connection palpable. "Exactly," Jack said, finally letting out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "We're not just fixing others, we're healing ourselves." As the ambulance pulled away, the crowd began to disperse, the fears and judgments fading like morning mist. Jack's heart swelled with possibility. He realized a lesson had emerged from this chaos. They had come together not as individuals bound by riches or humble beginnings, but as kindred spirits navigating the raw, unpredictable journey of life. "Let's grab a coffee," Tim suggested, glancing around at the now still street, filled with residual warmth from their night. "This night needs some wrapping up, right?" Jack chuckled, the weight lifting more. "Yeah, I could definitely use one. And maybe some good laughs too." As they started walking in search of a nearby cafe, Jack felt lighter, a rhythm in his step he had long forgotten. Looking out at the dawning sky, the stars beginning to fade, he felt hopeful. "Ready to face what's next?" Tim asked, a teasing gleam in his eyes. "Always," Jack laughed, knowing they could be brave together. Together, they moved forward, hearts open to whatever life had planned. In the warmth of potential and brotherhood, they stepped into a new story, one defined by connection, understanding, and the shared strength that comes from truly embracing one another's journeys. So, what about you? Are you ready to embrace your own transformation? Are you willing to stand by those who need you most? Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Real change starts with you.